Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I am with
David Heavener.
With The Last Evangelist.
Oh, Last Evangelist, that's right. And today we're going to talk about gun rights.
Absolutely.
And here's the question, Lisa. In The Last Evangelist, of course, I play a cop, right? And when I have a conversion with God, I become a believer. So I have a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other. Now, in The Last Evangelist, I have to decide, do the citizens during this time period, do they carry guns? Are they allowed to carry guns? You know? And so I wanted to ask you, what do you think is really going to happen?
Well, if we consider everything that has gone on, I mean, our government now never lets a crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
So any crisis, the unfortunate one that happened recently, Las Vegas, the shooting there, and Democrats took the immediate stance of, let's take away the guns from the people. And so my guess is the more that we inch towards that time, the citizens won't be allowed to have guns, especially in a chaotic time such as that. It will only be certain personnel, certain figures of authority, police officers. And I'm kind of on the fence, but I think police officers will have it. The FBI, the CIA, those kinds of people will. The federal people will. But they'll definitely take them away from the citizens.
Interesting. You know, I made a movie many years ago for HBO called Twisted Justice. And, excuse me, I played a cop. And during this time, cops were not allowed to carry guns. Okay? So I had to hide bits and pieces of a gun and put it together toward the tail end of the movie and shoot the bad guy. The reason I said this is I wonder if maybe they'll just take the guns away from cops that they fear might teeter on the fence, which way they're going to go. Meaning only certain cops are going to have guns. Maybe the higher ups. The street guys aren't going to have guns. They'll just have billy bats or tasers or whatever, right? Things that'll take you out, but they're not going to be able to kill you. And here's the reason I say that. My nephew is a police officer. And the day he became a police officer, I looked at him and I said, buddy, I said, when the day comes for the one world government to come to you and they say, you either need to arrest your family or you need to just turn in your badge and your gun. What are you going to do? He says, oh no. He says, I'm going to turn in my badge and gun. I'm not going to arrest my family. Well, if he says something like that to them, don't you think they're going to take away his gun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
they'll probably start asking questions among the police officers, and then they'll kind of, we've got to think about this. Because again, I'm writing this script. And it gives me a good idea. I think that's what I'm going to do. In the script, I may have some of the cops not have guns. Thank you for that.
I think that's a good idea. And the other thing you have to think about is in the Bible, we know that it talks about those who don't receive the mark. He talks about getting their heads cut off. So if you talk about that aspect of it, well, how come they just weren't shot, right?
Yeah.
And so if you take that into consideration, maybe it's because of what you said. Only certain people were allowed to have these things. So this is the alternative that was to be used.
And see, we missed a point here. Some of the police officers are true believers. So the ones that don't take the chip, are they going to be able to have a gun or even be a cop?
Right.
What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to the What's going to happen to the military when they're told you need to go into towns and start rounding people up like Germany, right? And a soldier says, "Hey, wait a minute, sir, I just don't feel right about that." Well, what is the one world government going to do to these soldiers that decide, or to a soldier that says, "I'm not taking the chip. I'm sorry." Think about that, folks. What about in the days of the mark of the beast, we have all this military, and they make an announcement I never thought about this. They make an announcement to the military, and they go, tomorrow at 12 noon, everyone takes the chip. Kind of like getting your hair cut off. And then all of a sudden, the true believers go, I'm sorry, I can't do it. What do they do to them?
Probably execute them. If you were taking the biblical narrative, that is exactly what it talks about in the Bible happening during that tribulation period, during that time when they push it and force it. I think you would have, if they were to schedule it like that, you would have an exodus of military personnel attempting to get out. And then you would have, some of them unable to escape and and
Right.
meet their fate, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that is the way that the Bible says it's headed.
Well, I know it's headed that way. But again, in the script, I have it, and you tell me if this could happen, is they have to have a reason to kill people. You can't just cut somebody's head off.
No.
I mean, you can, but you're going to have to answer to somebody. I need a reason. President is going to have to get up and explain why they just beheaded, 25 military guys, or they just shot 15 police officers over here. It has to be either under the umbrella of they were a terrorist, right? Mm-hmm. Or there has to be a law passed that if you violate this law, it's not only just a felony, but you can be executed, right? They have to conjure it in a certain way. I mean,
well, they have to make the bad guy look like a bad guy, even if they're the good guy. So if we go back to Germany, he made the Jewish people look bad because he said, look, they're the bankers and they're bad people. And so they pin this crime on them.
Yeah.
And the people, not everyone, but the people were okay with some of this. Why? Because they were bad people. Same thing they'll do with Christians in the future. I mean, they got to put the Christians in the bad light. So how would you do that? Well, you could stage false flags. Look at these idiot Christians. They're committing crimes, or they're doing this. Whatever the ploy is, it's going to be a false narrative pinned on the Christians, and it's going to put them in a bad light, and they have to sell it in such a way that these religious fanatics are messing up our world. They're stopping global warming, or whatever the case may be. And if they're not killed, then we're all going to die. So we have to take out the problem.
Absolutely. Well, they're going to make true believers like us look like people that are bigots, and they're going to say hate speech comes from us. Because all we do is quote the Bible, sexual immorality, right? Mm-hmm. And all the things that's God's law. They say, well, no, that's hate speech. I mean, already, don't tell me folks are not going to do this. Already, they're taking the 10 Commandments out of the schools, out of the courthouse. They're trying to make, it's a godless society, right? So we're headed in that direction. And all they have to do is create laws, think about this, laws that are against the Bible, but for man, and we have to decide as true believers, are we going to abide by God's law? Are we going to abide by man's law? Are we going to love God over government? We have to make that decision.
We do. And I think that's what everybody should keep at the forefront of their mind in the future.
You're right. A lot to think about, Lisa.
Definitely.
Well, God bless you all.
Well, thanks again for tuning into the channel here. And don't forget to go to The Last Evangelist.
Yeah, lastevangelist.com. Sign the newsletter. And if God leads you to donate, we're making this TV series. And
awesome.
Lisa's in it.
And all the links are going to be below. And you guys, I've read the script on this. It is amazing. You'll totally love it. Well, thanks again for tuning in. This is Lisa Haven and
David Heavener
signing out.